How can you hurt something that is immaterial? You can't. It is intangible. Alive in ways you couldn't even begin to comprehend. Hello. First, a quick recap. There are two flavors of rain in TF2, and it seems you can't add either of these to your map without it either falling through everything, or resorting to a custom particle, which has collisions but always freezes your game up. I thought I covered everything the first time around, but it turns out the rabbit hole goes so much deeper than I could have ever thought. I received a lot of suggestions from the last video, the most frequent of which was just cut up the funk precipitation entity so it doesn't go through roofs and props. Dumbass. Actually, I did test and capture a recording of this not working beforehand. I just didn't include it because I made a bug report for the developers to ignore and simply forgot that you guys wouldn't automatically know this because you aren't literally me. Anyway, here it is in its full glory. And as you can see, the rain is turning on and off. Of course, this is completely intended. It's worth noting right now that I'm using the particle rain option in my funk precipitation, which is only available in TF2 Classic. And since they backported this from MapBase, which is like an edit of the source engine or something, one of the changes they made was adding these two flags here. So maybe when I was testing it the first time, I didn't have them checked. Oh, and it looks pretty much the same with the flags off. Okay. By the way, TF2 Classic, assuming I still have your attention, please fix the boyoing command being only visible client-side. This is literally the most important bug of all time, as I'm sure you can understand. Well, in regular TF2 at least, your only option is rain, and holy shit, this actually does collide correctly. Hell, even back in Half-Life 2, this option exists and it collides correctly. You don't even have to cut it up, so it was that simple the whole time. And the problem is solved once and for all. But this has issues of its own. The biggest of which is that it looks fucking terrible. Instead of nice, stylish, TF2-esque droplets, it's these ugly-ass lines that are barely visible, and against certain backdrops it disappears almost completely, and this is at 100% density. There is, of course, the world's jankiest workaround in which you simply duplicate the funk precipitation on top of itself, but it doesn't make the rain look any better, just more visible. Also, here's what the snow option looks like. Ah yes, snow. Of course. I also went out to investigate how they handled it in the Hard Rain campaign, and guess what? No cutting up of brushes to line up with roofs, no placing funk precipitation blockers all over the place. At least in the decompiled map, it looks like Valve just slammed down a single, gigantic, disgusting funk precipitation brush that encompasses the entire level, and it just works. At least it works so long as it's over a certain height for some reason. Boy, I sure am fortunate to have read about this in a random line in the VDC. Occasionally I'd see a precipitation blocker in a random corner or roof somewhere, but it was far from under every roof. It seemed like it was just for little fixes here and there. Oh, and no. Before you ask, precipitation blockers didn't work in either TF2 or Classic, even if I just kinda type it in and hope it works. You know, reading that TF2 Classic patch note again, they even mention a crash fix. So I genuinely think I'm doing something wrong here. Like someone tried all this stuff and got it working, and I'm just missing something really obvious. And on top of all that, I also found this cute little warning in the VDC. So in other words, the particle system will freeze your game, but using the funk precipitation will lag it. There's no winning at all, is there? Well, either way, if you want the rain to actually look good at least, that limits us to the particle system, which, as discussed in the previous video, freezes the ever-loving shit out of my game. I must be doing something wrong though, so it's back to looking into it. I thought I'd at least try throwing down a bunch of assorted tool brushes first to see if it'd magically block the normal rain particles, and none of them blocked shit. Okay, well, I was afraid I was gonna have to do this, but I took the plunge and forced myself to learn how to use the particle editor, which included learning fun workarounds like tabbing into the game to use the console, because the one they provide at the bottom just doesn't work. And oh hey, you don't actually have to restart Hammer and recompile the entire map to see any changes you made. You can just bind this command. Could have saved like an entire day of my life had I known that from the beginning. Anyway, the difference between the normal rain particle and this one with collision enabled is this bit in the constraints section, collision via traces. This is the bit right here that's freezing my game client. So, how about changing it to prevent passing through static part of world? That sounds like what I want, right? And as you can see, it's working exactly as intended. And there's no setting to kill the particle once it collides, so this one's out. Alright, what about constrained control point, or whatever? Oh, that's what you meant by that. Messing with this provided a lot of wacky results, but I'm not looking to be a waterbender, okay? I was actually kind of hoping it'd look like, you know, rain. Also, this one freezes my game too. Here, I'll tab out with this open, and if it crashes, then, you know, we know something. It crashed immediately. Okay, well, what if it's one of the 700 settings I saw under collision via traces? Maybe I can stop the crash that way? I'll spare you the details this time. If it was there, it froze up, and if it wasn't, it didn't. Cool. Alright, well, if I can't jank something together, maybe I can at least unearth the source of this bug. You know, as someone who is by no means a programmer, someone who is merely a mapper, which has got to be like C or D tier on the modder hierarchy. Allow me to give you the Cliff Notes version. The first suggestion, our reluctant and only guide in this, the Google search algorithm leads you to, is wrong and does literally nothing. You can go to Steam/dumps, but TF2 doesn't feel like making one. Ever. Adding con debug to the launch options works, but doesn't spit out anything we didn't already know from just recording the screen. Going to NVIDIA.com informs me that the task manager can generate dump files that are 1.3 gigabytes in size, and I can Dropbox TM it to NVIDIA so they can tell me it has crashed. No need to thank me, which I will not be doing. Going to TeamFortress.tv informs me that I can edit the fucking registry to gain a coin flip chance of generating a dump file that I can't even understand. And finally, I called upon the dark arts of programming and used a memory inspector. After digging through it for a while, the only thing that even resembled English was this line here. Googling this turns up precisely 2 results, neither of which have anything to do with source, or TF2, or really anything. I'm just gonna assume this is what's freezing up Classic and leave decoding this mess to someone smarter than me chancing upon this video before I have an aneurysm for trying to read that which my eyes were not strong enough to comprehend. So here are the now officially updated options for adding rain to your cool TF2 map. 1. Add a funk precipitation brush, set it to rain, cover your entire map in it, and accept the fact that it probably should have stayed in Half-Life 2 where it belongs. 2. Hope that TF2 Classic updates to a newer engine branch, which, as I understand it, is a pretty big fucking ask. Or finally, number 3, don't. And why don't you just go make a map for Left 4 Dead 2 instead, if you love rain so much? Ah, but wait just a minute there, buckaroo. I'm receiving word from the grapevine that someone actually has a solution to my woes.
End rain 002, 256. My map still has rain, but I look down inside the building. There's no more rain. Have a nice day.
How dare you contradict me?
There's no way it's that simple. After everything I've gone through. God damn it. So, after all that, it's actually back to the very beginning. The old sawmill method of just lining it up just right to be believable and hoping no one looks at it too hard. The only difference is that this particle is set to only fall in a small radius. But it works. If I had just found this exact particle from the beginning over one of Sawmill's roofs and copied that one, none of this would have happened. Valve actually got it right from the beginning, and in truth, I've only been wasting my time.
I don't understand.
But isn't that truly what it means to be a developer, a map creator, a modder? Isn't that what the experience is all about? Tearing your hair out for days on end only to realize that it was you who was the fool the whole time. At this point, I never want to see rain again. Not even in real life. Anyway, that's all for now. Real video to come soon. Maybe even more source videos. You know, if you've been eating your greens. I also neglected to show my music last time. What a silly mistake. I assure you it will never happen again. Be sure to listen to it or else my dad will deepfake you saying the N-word. That's all for now. See ya.